Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you for coming out to learn about the candidates tonight. I am Chip Flanagan, and I'm running for the 3rd District U.S. Congress. I'm a 32-year small business owner. I've balanced budgets, made payroll, and had to deal with burdensome government regulations. During those years, I've had to deal with tornadoes damaging my building and a devastating fire in 1988. In spite of all the recessions and the other problems I've been able to balance my budget and run a profitable business. I am not a politician. Never dreamed of running for office. I decided to run because the country faces a much greater danger than the subprime mortgage crisis. The out-of-control spending that Washington is now engaged in will cause the complete meltdown of our economy if it is not stopped. I grew up in a military family, so I lived overseas and in many states before coming to Georgia. I was in Russia in the winter of 1999, right after the Russians destroyed their currency for the second time in 15 years. I got to see firsthand what happens when you overprint your money and ruin your money supply. It's not pretty. We do not have to repeat that mistake. We saw a great victory 2 weeks ago in Wisconsin when Scott Walker won his recall election. Scott stood up to the Democrats, made them come back from Illinois and act like grown-ups. They passed union reform and budget reform in spite of planned and threatened recalls. The Republicans stood tall and did what had to be done for Wisconsin. Contrast that with Washington, where we sent 87 new Republican congressmen giving control of the House, and what have they done? Nothing but pass 5 continuing resolutions allowing the Democrats to continue the out-of-control spending. The reason? They were afraid they would lose seats in the next election if they stood tall. Well, they should lose seats for not doing what we sent them to do. I will not vote for continuing resolutions and debt ceiling increases. I will get this out-of-control spending under control and then put life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness back into our lives. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Newnan.
Thank you. As Chip said, thank you very much for being here tonight for the Chamber and the Republican Party for sponsoring this. It's a wonderful testament to our country and to this county that so many people are here this evening. My name is Ken Kingsley. I'm running for Congress, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a small businessman at a small real estate company in Milner, Georgia. I'm a retired infantry lieutenant colonel. I'm a leader, and it's something that's desperately needed in Washington, D.C. these days. I'm married to my wife of 41 years. Joy, would you stand up? Joy's the second best decision in marrying her. The best decision I ever made was accepting Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. My son and daughter are here also. As I said, I'm a retired infantry lieutenant colonel, and I'm running because I believe that Congress is broken. When you have a 10 or 15% approval rating, something is desperately wrong. It's time to draw a line in the sand and say, we can no longer kick the can down the road. We must have strong, dynamic leaders with a steel backbone and a tough hide to stop the incredible wasteful spending that's going on in Washington, D.C. We must balance our budget, and we must begin paying off this national debt. We're about to turn over this country to our children and grandchildren for the first time in the history of this country in worse condition than we inherited as adults. And that's just not acceptable. And we can only change directions by paying off the debt over a 25-year period. We need term limits in Congress. Term limits will be greatly improve what happens in Congress and stop the professional permanent political class that we have in Washington, D.C. And finally, I'm a strong advocate of the fair tax. The fair tax will be a great boost to this economy, a great cleansing effect on Congress, and I hope later in this we'll talk more about the fair tax. Thank you. Enjoy being here.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Newnan.
Thank you, Dean, and I want to thank the Chamber and the Republican Party for doing this. And since Kent introduced his wife, I want to introduce my lovely wife of 43 years. Joan, would you stand up back there? So thank all of you for being here. This is a great testimony. People coming out tonight on this holiday week to listen to us. I hope I don't have to introduce myself to you. I've represented you for 8 years in Congress, where I've tried to fight the good fight I hold the record for serving the shortest amount of time on the whip team, and the fact that I was asked to be on the whip team. I was on it for 17 hours before I got kicked off for voting against our leadership. I have fought the fight against Obamacare and some of the other ridiculous things that this administration has done. I had an opportunity to do the candidate recruitment and recruit some of those 87 freshmen, actually 89 freshmen, that came to the House to give us a majority. I also had an opportunity this time and was challenged by our leadership to do the reapportionment for the whole country, which we did, and I'm happy to say it looks like we'll actually end up picking up 2 or 3 seats to add to our majority through that. All this is about hard work and about leadership, and I've tried to do that. I've tried to exhibit that. I've tried to make the tough stands when those tough stands were called for. But I've also tried to do the right thing and not take the focus off of our goal. Our goal should be nothing more than getting rid of Barack Obama on November the 6th of this year. Don't lose that vision. Do not lose that vision. Because if we don't do that, all the other things that we can stand up here and talk about tonight won't have any effect at all. They'll just be some good ideas. So thank you very much, and I look forward to answering the questions, and God bless.
Thank you,